If you can't navigate your world, you can't build it. Today, we are going deep into the scene view. From hidden overlays menu to snapping and fly-through modes, we are turning you a Unity power user. Let's dive in. Welcome to Unity Daily. Our motto is simple, one concept at a time. We have seen the interface, now it's time to step inside. Subscribe to join the journey and let's master the navigation. This series is built to take you from zero to pro. If these daily tips are helping you, consider supporting the mission through link in the description. Your support keeps us going daily. The scene view is where we visually build our game. First, click the three dots at the top right corner. This is where you find overlay menu, maximize the view, or even close it from here. Just click on the three dots and select overlay menu. You can turn menus on or off from here. Here is a small pro tip. If you ever accidentally close the scene window, just go to the Windows General and select the scene to bring back the scene window. Now, let's talk about the overlay menu. You can drag and move these overlay menus anywhere that feel comfortable for your workflow. From this overlay menu, we can activate and deactivate different tools in the scene view. The first tool in the overlay menu is Transform Tools. The Transform tool let us move around the scene and select, move, rotate or scale game object in the scene view. Each of the 5 tools is mapped to the keys Q, W, E, R, T and Y at the top left of the keyboard. We can quickly switch between these tools by pressing the corresponding hotkey. Hand tool. The hand tool let us move around the scene. We can click and hold the left mouse button, then drag to move. We can also move around the scene view without switching back to the hand tool. When any transform tool is selected, holding Alt plus Ctrl on Windows or Alt plus Command on Mac activates the hand tool, allowing us to drag and move in the scene view. The next 5 buttons let us manipulate the selected game object in the scene. The Move tool. Move tool allows us to move game object along with the X, Y or Z axis. Each handle on the tool represents a different axis. Clicking and dragging a handle moves the game object along with that single axis. We can also click the center of the tool and drag to move the game object freely along 2 axes at the same time. The next is Rotate tool. The Rotate tool let us rotate a game object. We can use the handle to rotate it along the X, Y or Z axis. Dragging the center of the tool allows us to rotate the game object freely. Next is Scale tool. The Scale tool allows us to change the size of game object. Like the Move and Rotate tool, we can use the handle to scale the object along the X, Y or Z axis. Dragging the center of the tool scales the game object evenly all 3 axes at the same time. Next, Rect tool. The Rect tool lets us easily move and resize 2D and UI objects. It combines moving, rotating and scaling into a single tool. Although it can work with the 3D objects, it is mainly used for 2D and UI elements in the scene. The tool draws a box around the selected game object, allowing us to move, rotate, scale and adjust the anchor points of 2D and UI objects. Next, we have the Transform Combine tool, which allows us to move, rotate and scale an object at the same time. This tool is useful for making a quick adjustment to a game object. Next, in the overlay menu, we have a tool setting menu. This menu has 2 transform Gizmo toggles that control how the transform tools work in the scene. They decide where the gizmos appears and how the selected game object reacts to the tool. The first toggle is Pivot versus Center. In pivot mode, the transform tool is placed at the pivot point of the selected game object's mesh. In center mode, the gizmos appears at the center of the bounding box of your selection. This makes a big difference when more than one game object is selected. The second toggle is Local versus Global. Local makes the transform tool follow the object's own rotation, while Global makes them follow the world space, ignoring the object's rotation relative to its parent. Now, let's look at the grid and snap. At the top, we have the grid size, also called a snap increment. For example, if I type 10, you will notice the grid line spread out more. If I change back to the 1, the grid size goes back to the original spacing. Here, 1 represents 1 meter in the scene, so you control the spacing however you like. We can also turn the grid on or off by clicking here, making it appear or disappear with just a click. In the grid plane section, we can change the grid axis by selecting X, Y or Z, and we can also adjust the opacity by dragging this slider. Finally, in the Move To section, we can move the grid to the handle of the selected game object or reset it back to the default position at the origin. Next, we have the grid snapping toggle, the button with the grid and magnet icon. Click it in the grid and snap toolbar to turn on automatic snapping. The icon will turn blue when it's active. With snapping enabled, the Move, Rotate and Scale tool will snap your selected game object to the grid along the active Gizmo axis. You want smaller, precise movement? You can also transform increment it. Click the drop-down menu next to the grid snapping button. Here, in the snapping section, you can set the same increment for all axes or different value for each one. And in the Align Selected section, click X, Y or Z to push your object exactly to that axis. Next, to the grid and snap, we have the Draw Mode tools. The first one is Wireframe mode, which draw meshes as simple as wireframes. This is great for inspecting geometry, especially to see hidden edges or overlapping meshes. Next is Shaded Wireframe, which shows meshes with the texture and wireframe overlaid. It is useful when you want to see both shape and the surface detail at the same time. Third is Unlit mode, which ignores scene lighting. This is handy for checking textures and colors without lighting affecting how they look. Fourth is Shaded mode, showing surface with the texture visible under normal lighting. This is what you typically use to see the scene as it appears in the game. And finally, Debug mode. Debug mode has several options to help you analyze graphics, lighting, to make it easier to troubleshoot rendering issue. Remember, this control only affects the scene view during development. They don't change the build game. Now, let's move to the view option tools. The first option is 2D button, which lets you switch the scene view between 2D and 3D modes. This is useful when you're working with the 2D games or UI layout. Next, you can enable or disable audio in the scene by turning it on off here. This helps you focus on visual without audio distraction or test sound as needed. You can also enable or disable rendering effect using this drop-down menu. This is useful for checking performance or seeing your scene without certain effects. The I button controls the scene visibility. It will show or hide the game objects that are marked as not visible in the hierarchy, which is great for isolating specific objects while working. The layer menu. Layer menu lets you choose which layer to display while editing, so you can focus on specific part of your scene. The camera icon is used to configure the scene view camera, letting you adjust perspective, field of view and other camera settings. Finally, Gizmos. Gizmos let you enable or disable all the gizmos in the scene, or use the drop down to select individual gizmos. This is handy for reducing clutter and focusing on the object you are working with. The search field. The search field let us quickly find game object or their component in the scene. When you search for an item or any matching game object is highlighted in the scene view. You can also search for the game object that contains a specific type of components. The search works in the both scene view and the hierarchy window, showing only the game object that match your search criteria. This makes it easier to locate the game object in complex scene. Here, we have an orientation tool. The orientation tool shows the current orientation of the scene view camera and allows us to quickly change the viewing angle and the projection mode. You can also switch between the different camera view by clicking the toggle on the gizmo. To switch between a 3D perspective view and an isometric view, just click the white cube in the center. Alternatively, you can click the title below the gizmo to toggle between view modes as well. Next, we have a camera overlay. This lets you take the first person control of the camera and manage camera directly in the scene view. It's a great way to preview exactly what camera sees in your game. Holding down the right mouse button over the scene view will switch the editor into the fly-through mode. In fly-through mode, use W, A, S and D to move around and Q and E to change your height. As you hold any movement key, your motion will gradually accelerate, giving a smooth fly. With any transform tool selected, You can also use Alt plus left mouse button to rotate around your current point of focus. And holding Alt plus right mouse button lets you zoom in and zoom out quickly. On the far right of the scene view control bar, we have a Gizmos menu. Gizmos help us to identify game objects, understand how they work in the scene, and see what components are attached. Some Gizmos, like those for lighting, cameras, and audio shows, use icon to help you quickly find game objects. Keep in mind, some Gizmos only appear when the game object is selected. The Gizmos menu also lets us customize Gizmos in the scene. In 2D modes, icons Gizmos stay fixed size, while in 3D modes, their size can be adjusted using the size slider. Other elements like show grid, selection outline, and selection wire are also Gizmos and can be toggled individually from this menu. At the bottom of the Gizmos menu, there is a list of all available Gizmos, so you can choose which one visible or which are hidden. The most recently changed Gizmos appear at the top for easy editing. As you can see, the scene view makes it easy to navigate, find, and manipulate game objects, giving you full control over your scene. That was a deep dive into day 4. You are now master of navigation. Tomorrow, for day 5, we'll look at the game view to see exactly how your player experiences your world. If this video helped you to fly through Unity faster, hit like and subscribe. Support this mission on Buy Me Coffee. The link is in the description below. I will see you in the next one.